Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse? Or some kind of punishment? I often think about the god who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him.
Hey, welcome to another video where I play a game and then review it, sharing my thoughts on the game. NieR Automata is a game that I deeply cherish. The JRPG is an incredibly abstract and conceptually profound game which explores the cycle of life and death while also exploring the process of changing perspectives. The game is one of the most replayable games I've ever had the joy of playing. There are 5 main endings appropriately named A to E, with remaining 21 endings named F to Z, which are less serious and more of a joke, such as failing missions, killing friendly NPCs, or certain choices in some side quests. There are a few characters that we should note, namely 2B, an all-purpose battle android who is immediately thrown into battle as we first get to know her. 2B's data is re-uploaded into the android database within the bunker, and she is sent to survey Earth alongside another android, NieR, who I'll cover momentarily. They notice that some of the machine life forms are different from what they've come to know over such a long period of time. The first playthrough is entirely through 2B's perspective, and it's always bittersweet to see how she opens up and realizes that there's more to life than what we believed were carried out to do. NieR is one of the other main protagonists, a scanner android who isn't as attuned to battle as 2B, who surveys Earth to provide data to jaemsyuh, a military force of androids. He excels in hacking and obviously gathering intelligence. He's naturally curious, given his role as an information gatherer. He aimed to understand the whole events behind the war jaemsyuh finds itself in and understand the impact it had on humanity. However, this doesn't go as he intended, realizing that there isn't anything worth fighting for, and challenges another android to a fight to determine the fate of Earth. A2 is the third and final main protagonist the player will access. We first learn about A2 when entering the Forest Kingdom, learning that there is a jaemsyuh deserter in their area that needs to be annihilated. The player fights against A2 and she makes her escape, telling us that Command has lied to and betrayed the player before evading. When we play as A2 in playthrough C, she's initially cold and dismissive towards 2B's pod, given the extended period of time that she's been alone in the world. Her main priority was to destroy the machine life forms and any jaemsyuh operatives that cross paths with her. However, as you progress the third playthrough, you start to see a real change in character, which I found to be somewhat reminiscent of 2B opening up to NieR. By the end of the game, her perspective on life and the world has changed drastically, more determined to save everything around her now, whereas before, she might not have necessarily done something like this unless it was in her best interest. The combat is incredibly fun, incorporating several hack and slash practices and includes a wide variety of weapons available to use. 2B and A2 are more physically attuned to battle, whereas NieR uses his expertise at hacking to his advantage. Hacking has its own mechanics tied to its function and serves as a fun mini-game mid-battle, actually allowing the player to take control of the situation as opposed to other games where this is a background function. The story is intriguing and thought-provoking. Given that playthrough A and B are the same story but through different perspectives, I thought it was perfectly executed, as both playthroughs are different in unique ways. 2B's playthrough is full throttle with regards to action, while also sprinkling some moments about changing views and thought processes, along with the ending of the first playthrough bringing everything full circle. As we'll learn in the third playthrough, that this was all too familiar for 2B, who hated having to repeatedly kill NieR, as we learned that the 2B android designation was only a cover for her real designation, 2E, a specialist android unit that was specifically designed to execute jaemsyuh units, with this moment being one of many where the player understands that the world is incredibly deceptive and how everything is so tightly connected. NieR's playthrough provides an expanded memory of some parts of the game thanks to his hacking capabilities, and we get to explore more of his curious nature and see him learn the truth about what happened to humanity to end up in the current state it's in, along with the truth behind jaemsyuh and what it actually symbolizes. The third playthrough is where the game really ramps up in quality and solidifies itself as one of the most replayable games ever. It follows the events after the ending of the initial playthrough and the conclusion of the war between the androids and the machines. There is so much emotional weight to the playthrough as you witness heartbreaking scenes, moments that show characters become so blinded and overwhelmed with emotion, particularly NieR, that it starts to play with your decision making and, to top it all off, an insurmountable task, one which will decide the fate of the planet and all that inhabit it, as we had learnt in the previous playthrough as NieR, not everything was as it seems, and there may even be external forces at play. How it was handled and drip fed to the player was exceptionally executed. You aren't overwhelmed with the events in the moment, exploring two perspectives in one playthrough, seeing the contrast in emotional stability and rationale further causing conflict in the player's mind, and regardless of what happens, you can't help but appreciate what you've just experienced. The world design is perfect, with the scale of these areas being immense, and you just feel so small in the moments where exploring the world around you for the first time. To accompany these incredible environments are some of the most beautifully composed tracks, such as the one playing now, where you can't help but feel safe in the city ruins or mystical in the forest, which emotionally tie you to these areas. Each soundtrack was designed with so much attention to detail that the music grows on you as you move around the world, and hearing it as you journey throughout the world almost feels reminiscent given how much the player goes through in the story. Oh, and you can also fish in this game, which can also be quite fun and rewarding. Additionally, there are a large number of side quests within the game. I found that none of them were overly drawn out or boring, as a lot of them are self-contained to the areas you acquire them in, and the ones that are spread out over multiple areas are somewhat quick to complete, almost to compensate for the traveling required. Most quests will see the player either collect materials or help bodyguard NPCs as they move around the world. Some of the NPCs are really interesting and have interesting stories, such as Pascal, a friendly machine life form who helps fundamentally open 2B, NieR, and A2 to changing their perspectives on machine life forms. Anemone and the Commander are both intriguing characters, showing their respective authority along with some vulnerable and sensitive moments, allowing players to feel connected to characters outside of the main protagonists. And then we have Devola, Popola, and Emil, characters who are in the prequel NieR Replicant, which will get its own video. Devola and Popola are an intriguing inclusion in this game given their involvement in the prequel. They carry the burden of their actions and work to redeem themselves and help set the world on the right path, whatever the player decides that path should be. Emil serves as a vendor in this entry, offering weapons, clothing, and rare items for weapon upgrading. You learn more about his story since the events of the prequel and how he's changed, slowly losing touch of everything, and if the player is a completionist, he'll be the last boss the player fights. He's an optional boss in this game, offering an immense challenge, requiring players to complete several steps in the game to unlock this fight, and to be at maximum level. Beating this fight will unlock ending Y. As such, boss fights are largely unique, offering unique experiences and plenty of challenge. The difficulty of the game can vary, naturally depending on the difficulty the player chooses to experience the story on. Bosses in the later half of each playthrough felt considerably more challenging than bosses in the first half, which isn't a complaint. If anything, it almost makes sense considering how much the player goes through. The challenge of each fight grows to push the player to limit, adding much more emotion and intention to these fights, which are all quite memorable. To wrap this video up nicely, this game is one that everyone should strive to experience. The depth and attention to detail in this game really solidifies it as one of the best games of all time. As always, feel free to like the video and suggest a game for me to play and review. Thank you all for your time, take care, and hopefully I'll see you around.